Hello and welcome everybody, and today we are going to be talking about another wave of mobilization which seems like it's going to be unavoidable. You might be wondering, Ivan, why are you even talking about this right now? Well, it's because there are multiple factors which I believe that there's going to be another wave of mobilization in Russia. First of all, it seems like this conflict between Russia and Ukraine is going to be going on for a very long time because, as you guys would have seen from a bunch of news articles all around the world, opposition has completely been removed from the presidential race in Russia. Completely. We're not going to be talking about Navalny right now because we are going to be speaking about the more outspoken ones that were actually not imprisoned, but they were actually running for presidency. They wanted to become a president. They were very outspoken. They were very against the war. And the ones I'm talking about is obviously Dunsova and Boris Nadezhdin. Obviously, they were taken away because, first of all, Dunsova wasn't allowed in because of some document problems, apparently. And Boris Nadezhdin, who was not allowed to enter the presidential campaign because he had 9,000 signatures that were apparently wrong out of 200,000, whereas Putin only had 90 wrong. So he was allowed in. Boris Nadezhdin was not allowed in. He is trying to fight that case in the court in Russia, but obviously, you know how it is. He's not going to win, and we already know who is the future president going to be in. This only leaves us to having the Kremlin candidates, as they call them, because all of those candidates who are running for the presidential race right now in Russia are basically Putin's friends. Funnily enough, if you look at the history of the presidential candidates right now, most of them either grew up with Putin, were some sort of his friends from one thing or another. So obviously, even if those guys are elected, they're not going to make a change because all of them are Putin's friends. And as you know, in Russia, all around the current president is just a bunch of his friends, basically. So nothing is going to change. And obviously, even considering that any of them would actually get into the office, won't change a thing because they're still going to be under the control of the exact same person. So obviously, they're not going to make a change if elected. But that is not going to happen. Anyways, in the first place, I just wanted to point that out to you guys. But from looking at the candidates of the current presidential campaign, we realize that the only person who's going to win this is Putin. Because, first of all, nobody's going to vote for the other candidates because nobody really knows anything about them. There's no great presidential campaigns. I have not seen them show themselves to the public, speak out, or anything like that. And the elections are in the next month, so they're not really going to have anything done before that. Obviously, this is just all a big setup for one person. Now, talking about the younger generation of people just like me who are against the war and want to make a change in Russia, they're basically just not going to vote because, first of all, there is nobody to vote for, and obviously they're not going to be voting for Putin. That only leaves us to the older generation who actually watch the television and believe whatever is said there, and they're basically going to vote for Putin, and most of his votes are going to be coming from there. And that is the sad reality of this. Now, you might be asking, Ivan, do you think that there will be an uprising if Putin is elected once again to be the president of Russia? I'll be honest with you, I think there might be small protests happening all around Russia, but they're quickly going to be suppressed and forgotten. The way it's going to be forgotten is that the media will be saying that the US has sponsored a bunch of people to start protesting, to destabilize Russia, to break it into pieces because everybody wants a piece of Russia. That is going to be the agenda on state channels, even if they're going to be broadcasting that. Because usually when there are massive protests in Russia, the state media doesn't say a word about it. Could you imagine this, guys? So when you have thousands of people marching around the streets, you would see it all from the internet channels, like on YouTube and stuff like that, but you would never see it on state television, because then the citizens of Russia would be asking themselves, what the heck is going on? But if they do mention it, they mention it that way, that it was sponsored by the US, there's US spies everywhere, and that it's their fault for this happening inside of Russia right now. Now, there is a lot of speculation about, is there going to be another mobilization once Putin is elected for another president's term? The probability is actually very high. I've accidentally stumbled upon an interview about a month ago. Well, actually, not a month ago. It was released about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I believe. And I watched a few fragments of it, and I was amazed at what the heck is going on, and how could such a person say something like this? But you know what? The more I live, the more unsurprised I become, because it just seems all like a dream, like a crazy nightmare dream at what is currently happening in Russia. Now, what's interesting is that this was an interview of Dmitry Medvedev. Now, before I talk more about this, I actually want you guys to watch this, so I'm gonna insert a fragment right here, which I translated for you. So let's go and check it out.
Где остановиться? Не знаю. Я думаю, что с учетом того, о чем я сказал, значит, нам еще придется много и серьезно работать. Будет ли это Киев? Да, наверное. Это должен быть и Киев. Если не сейчас, то через какое-то время. По двум причинам. Киев – русский город, и оттуда исходит угроза существованию Российской Федерации. Интернациональная угроза. Потому что хоть Киев и русский по своим корням город, он управляется интернациональной бригадой противников России во главе с Соединенными Штатами Америки. Одесса, возвращайся домой. Мы заждались Одессу в Российской Федерации. Даже в силу истории этого города, того, какие там люди живут, на каком языке говорят, это наш российский, русский город.
Well, some of you guys might be asking, who the heck is this guy? Well, you would actually be quite surprised. He's actually the deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation. Do I feel any safer? Don't really think so. I'm not really gonna comment on that guy, but he was also the prime minister of Russia, and once before, even the president of Russia. You might be wondering, how in the world did he get into presidency? Well, there was a time where Putin couldn't become a president once more because the Russian constitution did not allow him to do so. So he put Medvedev in. Medvedev has done his time as a president, and then when Putin came back, he changed the constitution, which allowed him to be the president for whatever long time he wants to be, so he could be reelected and reelected and reelected once again. Now, from this fragment that I took out of the interview, we could see that Medvedev made a very bold statement of, if it's needed, we are going to be capturing Kiev. That is a very bold statement to be done a month before the election. This is a very big sign and a very big clue that we could get our ideas for the future and what is truly going to happen. This only means one thing. The Russian army will need more people, which results in another wave of mobilization of probably like 300, 400,000. I think that is going to be the minimal amount that the Russian army will need for the second wave of mobilization. You might be asking, why wouldn't they just do a mobilization right now? In my opinion, I think that is really going to hurt the election. So they will just wait it out until Putin is getting elected once again. He becomes a president, and then he will announce another mobilization, because once he's a president, he's going to be a president for a very long time, and he has nothing to be scared of. So he could just announce a mobilization, and people will be grabbed off and taken in. I sometimes feel like interviews like this could really give us great clues on what is going to happen inside of Russia. And this way we could learn on each step that the government takes so that we could learn on what happened before and start to predict the future today. The times we live in Russia is a big uncertainty because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But we are sure that there's going to be another wave of mobilization. And that's not only me thinking about it. There's actually a lot of people that I know who actually think that after the election, there's definitely going to be another wave of mobilization. It's a bunch of random people who think about this, so I'm not the only one. It seems like it's going to happen. Also, a big clue that everybody forgot about is the online call-up to the military enlistment office that has been created. Remember the big news outlets about this new online call-up? So if you receive a letter and you haven't even seen it, that means you already received it and looked at it and stuff like that. So that means you must go to military enlistment office where you show your ID and you get in, mobilized straight away. Everybody forgot about that completely. And also everybody forgot about the new law that they put in about if you don't go to a military enlistment office after you've been called up on that online service, your bank accounts get frozen, your driver's license don't work, and you're not able to sell your car or your property inside of Russia. Everybody has completely forgot about that law. Do you guys think that that law was randomly created for no reason whatsoever? That law was created for this time. All the laws that they've been implementing for the past year was done so that they could use it all as a big pack of laws after the election. And I've came to a conclusion that it is time to really get the heck out of here, because it seems like all of that has been done up to this point to get a massive mobilization number. Now, when Putin is elected once again, they're going to close up the borders. But obviously, they're not going to be closed. They're going to be closed that way that they're going to say, well, the borders are open. What are you talking about? But to leave, you'd probably need some sort of a letter from a military enlistment office that states that you're not eligible for mobilization or that you have a permit to leave Russia. I think that is actually going to happen, just like in Turkmenistan. This really seems like this is the sad future that Russia is going into during this time. Now, tell me, guys, what do you think about this? What is your predictions about what is going to happen inside of Russia after the elections? I would really like to hear what you got to say in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time, guys. See you later and have a good day.